Chelsea kicking off their campaign with a 3-1 victory over Brighton. And Frank, Stevie and Craig with us to discuss this. Craig, how do you sum up this game?
You take the win
Yeah.
and your first game of the season away from home, and you run and you go and work in what's clearly they're going to be the issue for them again is the defensive aspect of the game. And by that, I don't just mean that they had no Azpilicueta, they had no Chilwell in the starting lineup anyway, and they had no Thiago Silva, but I'm talking about the protection of the back four. So as much as anything, as much as personnel, you're looking at protection of the back four. And that's something that Lampard's going to have to find the balance with and work on, because clearly, as you know, they lost a heck of a lot of goals last season. So you take the 3 points and you go away and you increase your headache about the goalkeeper because his starting position for that goal was absolutely horrendous. He was almost on his left-hand post. And so this just heightens the need for Frank Lampard to go and get a deal for a goalie done ASAP.
Okay, let's go with that, shall we? Let's talk about Kepa. Of course, Chelsea win, but they did concede the goal. And we've talked about this a lot, Stevie. When it comes to stopping shots, Kepa was the lowest of the Premier League last season, continuing that trend today.
Without question. I don't think you need to be a former goalie or a goalie coach to see that he has to do better. And actually by that, I mean, he should save it. You know, he basically dives over the top of it. So Frank's got a huge dilemma because you know that he's really not that keen on Caballero. Otherwise, he would have started him today. And now, as much as you know he's not keen on Kepa, then he's absolutely scared witless to put him in between the sticks. So it has to be Caballero. Now, as Craig said, if that was his only problem defensively, that would be great. But the fact is, against a decent attack, they would have lost more goals today. And as Craig also said, in the middle of the park defensively, well, there isn't anything. Brighton just played their way from back to front. But unfortunately for Brighton, they had nothing going up front.
Frank, do you agree?
I do agree. I mean, that was a very underwhelming performance. I was so looking forward to seeing all the new players. Of course, some are injured or not fit enough. Even the ones who were on the field are not fit enough. Havertz is the best example, where he was completely inexistent. But I want to know what Loftus-Cheek is doing on the field, you know, for like more than an hour, where definitely I would have put him out after 30 minutes. I mean, that guy has to wake up, otherwise he's not going to play this season. But I want to also say, like Craig said, that it's not only the defensive and the back four problem on top of the goalkeeper problem. It's the way that the team defends and they almost don't do it, except Kante. Jorginho hasn't got the physical aspect of a football player to defend properly. He's an artist, but he doesn't know how to defend, and the other don't have even an idea of how they can defend. So it's a real problem. And I have to mention that the two best players for Chelsea were Christensen and Zuma. So it says a lot about the problem that they will have this season. Well, hopefully, you know, Thiago Silva will be ready very soon. But they really have a problem. They have a physical problem where they seem to be all very, very tired. And fortunately, they had the chance for them. You know, if Dunk doesn't miss that's obvious header, you know, I guess Chelsea would have lost that game. That was, again, very underwhelming performance. And they have to do much, much better if they want to show their power this season.
But they won the game, Frank. And is it the old cliche, you know, if you go in and get the 3 points and play badly, then you've got to take the positives from that?
Yes, of course, that's the only positive things that you can say. But you know that it's going to be a long season. You know that you have to be sharp at the beginning of the season, that it's going to be a big competition. And if you want to survive and finish, you know, maybe a little bit better than last season, let's say third, you will have to fight. And what I see is the Chelsea that I saw last season, with defensive problems, with the lack of desire sometimes to make efforts, of a desire to make efforts defensively and come back. some technical, mistakes that, it's amazing to see at that level. So I'm ready to support and to help that team, every time they're good. But I have to say the truth when they're not good. And today, it's clearly maybe the worst game that I've ever seen, for a couple of seasons with Chelsea.
And they won.
Is he depressed or what?
Yeah, and they won. But they won against Brighton. I mean, the best player, who was the best Chelsea player? He's not at Chelsea anymore. He's the right full back, Lemty. Lemty was the best player. They should have kept him.
But this is
the thing is, Dan, it's the first game out the blocks. Yeah. So, I think we kind of expect, there's some rust. We've talked about gelling and all that. And I think, when the key players come back defensively, particularly Thiago Silva, you'll get somebody who not only can defend clearly, but can organise. And can organise the middle of the park in front of him by giving instructions. So that will help. On the other side of the coin, you couldn't take your eyes off Timo Werner's movement in that first half. It was just fantastic. And he's going to be, he's a dream for a midfield player because, if you get a touch and get turned on the ball, you could probably just poke it over the top for him to make runs. And once he gets his timing right and the understanding of his teammates, you can clearly see how good an outball that's going to be. The other thing is and Frank talked about Loftus-Cheek, we probably are going to see Kai Havertz playing a more central role, I think, as the season goes on and Pulisic comes back to full fitness and such. And I think he'll be much more effective in there. Now, that could be as a striker with Werner coming from a wide position, or it could be slightly deeper where Loftus-Cheek played today. Because I think at the end of the day, he's more suited to that. He hasn't quite got the pace, and I don't think the desire to run up and down. I mean, you talk about the Lewis Dunk header when Reece James tucked in. It was Havertz who was stood at the back post not marking. So it's not really his role or his. It's not really his ability to do that kind of job. And I think people were talking, said, well, he wouldn't quite see Havertz at his best. But I think you will when he plays a more central role and he can start pulling strings and playing those lovely little balls over the top for Timo Werner's runs.
Yeah, first impressions of Timo Werner in a Chelsea shirt, Stevie?
Yeah, he looks sharp. The penalty he got is because he's alive, he's alert, and he's got pace. But we really haven't seen the best of him, that's for sure, because we did criticise the middle of the park for not defending against Brighton properly. But I think we also should criticise them because they never gave service to the front three either. And so that really is a worry, because if they can get Werner service, then no question, from the glimpses we saw today, he's going to be a handful for any defence.
Frank?
Yeah, he showed, especially the first half. We lost him a little bit the second half, but as Stevie said, because he wasn't really served. But he had some chances to show us, the talent that he has, the pace that he has, and he will be, with somebody like Ziyech, Mason Mount, and Everest. We're gonna help him out a lot. Hopefully, he's gonna score many goals because he's already sharp. He's already belonging to the family, and he feels good. We could see that he was feeling good. He was the positive aspect of Chelsea today in the first half.
Dan, sorry, just let me go back to the goalkeeper just briefly. I think this was, you could say arguably the perfect scenario today with him, making that mistake again, because it didn't cost Chelsea any points. And if I don't know how far a deal is down the line with any goalkeeper, be it Mendy in France or whoever, but if a deal has been if it's a game of bluff at the moment with clubs over transfer fees and wages and agents' fees, then this is perfect for Frank Lampard to go to the board and say, listen, guys, we need to push any deal that we're chasing over the line now, because here's a guy that I told you at the end of the season was costing us points. As Stevie said, I don't have a number 2 that I really want to put in, and we've started the season again, and we've got away with it. But how long are we going to keep getting away with it? So get out there, make sure you get the deal done, get a proper goalkeeper in, and then we can move on. So in some sense, him making the mistake again might just be the kick up the backside that Chelsea need to push a deal over the line.
How sweet was that strike from Reece James, Stevie?
Oh, Well, Dan, I can assure you, as a former fullback, you don't hit too many like that in your career. And I know he's still got a lot. He's basically got his whole career pretty much in front of him. But I'll tell you what, I'll have a bet with you that he doesn't hit one sweeter or more perfectly into the top corner than that one today. It was absolutely beautiful. I'm sure he hopes he can do it again, but I'm not so sure he can or will.
Frank, what a way to get your first Premier League goal.
I think it was a header against Coventry, and well, it changes everything.
I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about. I'm getting back to you.
I thought you asked me the very first goal. I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry.
I headed at Coventry.
Yeah, true. But no, for first goal in his career, I mean that's absolutely a fantastic souvenir. Because on top of it, it's not only the goal he scores, he scores it straight after Brighton scored a goal. So he really gave a new freedom to the game for the Chelsea player. So he's top corner, he takes the chance. I mean, the power of the shot is absolutely fantastic, but my header was much better.
Yeah, of course it was, against Coventry as well.
Dan, I actually thought the celebration for that goal was a little strange. I would have expected everybody to have been smiling and going crazy and jumping all over him. He's a young guy, and it's his first goal, but there was almost a little look to everybody that they were like, oh, we've got ourselves ahead, because they were having an absolute nightmare at the time. That was the first thing that I thought about when I saw them jump or running towards him, if you can call it that. There was a real apathy about it that I found strange.
One last point on this, and I thought I wanted to.
Hey, Dan, I think we should have. I think what we should do, we should actually start this whole show again, where you come in and say, Frank, talk us through your header at Highfield Road in 1990, whatever it was. That's the only place to start.
Sometimes it's not very, because I'm used to the Scottish accent, but sometimes the English accent I don't get it.
Yes.
So it's hard to. Yeah, it's true. No,
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding. I didn't understand the beginning of the question.
Obviously, Frank and Craig, you took penalties in your career. Craig, you famously almost got a hat trick in one game. How difficult is it to do what Jorginho does, time in, time out, with the way in which he takes his little hop before? Could you do that?
Well, not when you've had 7 operations and you've got no cartilage in your knees. So I wouldn't be trying it. But clearly it works for him. Clearly it works for him, because that little hop gets a movement from the goalkeeper, or generally does, and that triggers the side that he's going to put it. So for some reason, the keeper goes early when he does that, or a little earlier, and then he's able to just pick his spot. Listen, it's worked great for him, but it's not something I personally would have tried. Eric Cantona used to come up to the ball. Eric just never did the hop. Right. He just sauntered up to it almost at walking place and then put it in the corner side-footed. But, you've got to have some confidence to do that.
More reaction then to what we saw in the opening weekend of the Premier League on the next edition of the show. Be sure to join us.